See everybody.
Hey, Matt, a couple weeks ago, it was after the Denver game actually, Patrick was talking about kind of recalibrating and always having to figure out that line. And for a moment, I thought he was sort of talking about something he's just said before. But I guess the question is, isn't that sort of important that he is always recalibrating and it suggests more advancement, more sophistication as he goes along?
Yeah, it does. I think that's a strength of his because sometimes you can get lost in however you're playing for X amount of weeks. And I look at him and I think when I look back at this year so far, what we've been through, growing as a quarterback room, as an offense, as a team, one of the more impressive things with Patrick is the fact that he does just that. I feel like every Monday when he comes back in, he goes through and he goes and tries to validate what he thought happened on Sunday with the film, and seeing what he sees. But then he resets immediately, and he forgets, good or bad. And that's the resetting part to me with somebody that's playing as well as he's playing and holds himself and knows we hold him to high standards. You know, he comes off a game, for instance, against these guys last time, and we're in a good position, and situationally we go back-to-back interceptions in the first half, and they score 2 touchdowns off of that. No one is more frustrated at that moment in those throws more than him. And, you know, so for him to, he just kind of puts that in the back pocket, and now he's got to use that moving forward, whatever it is, the next game, the next play, the next time we play them. And he does a great job at doing all that, but the resetting part's big.
And in a bigger picture sense, should that line, as he progresses through his career, is it sort of the line should always be changing? It's not like the line is always going to be,
Yeah.
I shouldn't push it here, I shouldn't push it there. It's always growing.
It's fluid, yeah. It's moving. It's fluid, and there's different parts of the game. I mean, whether it's something that maybe the outsiders don't see as much with a protection call, or something that he sees within the game that might be a little bit more, internal for us, that he's growing in that way. Or it might be something bigger where you see, hey, threw an interception and it wasn't a good decision. It wasn't a good throw. Or he goes and he scrambles on a 3rd down and makes an unbelievable, spectacular play and does a no-look for a 50-plus yard touchdown pass. So all of that, I think, with the great quarterbacks, the ones that do it consistently over time, that bar is always changing. It's always moving. It is fluid.
As the season's gone on, have there been times where he's done something, whether it's in a game or practice or a meeting, where you said, you know what, he wasn't advanced. The last time I coached him, he wasn't this advanced. He maybe couldn't have done this.
Yeah, that's a great question. With me being there with him his rookie year to where he's at now, it's so far advanced to where it was just that year. So there's a lot more of that. For me, it's been more so, Adam, of seeing him just go from this year, the growth he's had this year of certain plays. And I think sometimes, players like him that are so naturally gifted and talented and can make different throws from different arm angles, don't have to have their feet set all the time, see something before it happens. Sometimes you can get away from some of your standard fundamentals. And the thing with Pat is, and it starts with Coach Reed, is, we really stress that to him, and he wants that to be stressed. Hey, stay within the timing of the play with your feet. As simple as that sounds, sometimes you get off of that, and before you know it, your timing is off, and now it's not matching with the wideouts. And there's been a couple games where he's come to the sideline within the game and said, my timing's off, my feet are off, I got to get back to that. I got to get back to 1, 2, 3 in progression and not just 1, 2 run. And that right there is growth in itself, because when you're a young player as a rookie, you're just trying to call the play the right way. And for me, sometimes, I look at what he's done now. I listen to him in practice call play when you can actually hear it. In the game, you don't hear it, but in practice, you can hear him call play. I mean, that's sometimes the hardest thing for some quarterbacks to do, is to call a play. For him, that's like second nature. It's simple. It wasn't like that as a rookie. Well, sometimes we take that for granted because we have some unique formations, motion shifts, plays, etc. Well, that's just the beginning of the play. I mean, you got to get up and you got to do everything else at the line of scrimmage, and then, oh, by the way, you got to make a play. He's grown so much in this time, and he's grown just so much this year too.
We talk to you about once a month, and every time kind of ask you about a crazy play you've seen, and you mentioned the little no-looker
Yeah.
last time. at this point of the year, I mean, how many things has he done this year that is it list 10, 12, whatever?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I mean, the ones that really jump out is the one in Tampa when he scrambled and had to play in Tampa, and then this one in Denver. Those are the two that completely jump out because there's maybe one or two other people, I don't know, maybe one other person that can do that, maybe nobody. And when you have that happen, you can only sit back and chuckle and just say, well, that was a pretty good play, and we became really good coaches on that play. You know, so Coach even chuckled in the middle of that right afterwards, and he said, well, that goes in the reel. I mean, it does. It's one of those deals. You don't really coach that.
You were in Philly before, and you were here, and the whole time you were here, you either had Alex or Patrick.
Yeah.
You were in Chicago, had different quarterbacks. I mean, great quarterbacks make great coaches, right? I mean, that's kind of how that goes. You look around the league and you see all the troubles other teams are having. How fortunate do you guys feel to have someone who's so rock solid in the meeting rooms and all that and can do those things on the field?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I've been really blessed to be around so many great I go back to when I first was brought into the league with Coach Reed in Philadelphia and just being around Donovan McNabb and those guys from in Philadelphia, and then coming here and being with Alex, and then going to Chicago and having the different quarterbacks that we had there. They all have their strengths and weaknesses, and in the end, I think as you see in this league, it's very important to have a guy that can do great things behind the center, and they're all different. They all have their strengths, but we as coaches appreciate the ones that are able to do it. And I think we all know it's stating the obvious with Patrick. What's scary with Patrick is that he's so young, and he's doing this at such a young age. So.
And just in that repertoire of Patrick's, the touchdown run the other day, getting fully parallel to the ground, it's a different kind of mindset to do that than to make the pass, right? I mean, what's it take for a guy to be able to do that too?
Number one, to trust your speed. He jokes all the time about his boosties, and he talks about when he has to put his boosties on, and he had his boosties on that play, and just so happened to be going against a Texas Tech Raider one-on-one. So I'm sure we heard about that for a little bit, but there's a lot that goes into that play. I mean, how many times do you see somebody, number one, make the extension of the play with his legs, but then brace himself with his left arm, not hurt himself, but then number two, to come with the right hand and keep the ball in slick weather, cold weather, hold that ball into the pylon. A lot of people teach not to do that because you can have a touchback. He did it all, and those are plays. Again, that was a third down. He made a play. He scrambled. That's a part of his game that I think sometimes goes unnoticed, is what he can do extending plays with his legs, and we got 6 points from it.
Bit of a curveball, Coach, but Travis has been here the longest in
Yeah.
the offense. Obviously, he was here when you were last here. How much do you lean on Travis and his experience in the quarterback room? How often is he in the quarterback meeting room just to offer maybe a unique or a different perspective?
Well, I would say this, again, just like Patrick, I was fortunate enough to be here when Kels came in here as a rookie, and just to see, very similar to Patrick with more years, how every day he's trying to make his craft better and better, and how he does it. And he gives, if he sees a particular route that we put in and he wants to do something a little bit to it to make it his way, he's earned that right, I think, over time, and he'll voice that. And him and Pat just need to be on the same page on how they do it. He's been phenomenal. I think it just sometimes, again, like with Patrick, you can sometimes take it for granted. You want to be careful because he's been doing this a long time. He makes so many special plays. His route running is just crazy. I mean, there's other players, teams in this league that try to emulate what he does. It's just hard because he has a natural knack to get open. But his growth has been amazing, and his partnership and relationship with Patrick, it's hard to stop when you get two guys that are thinking the same way.
Matt,
Thank you.
Where do you get those boosties?
What?
Where do you get those boosties?